So much wickedness in today's world. Figured let's turn to some Psalms real quick. I'm going to start down in Psalm 73:3. For I was envious of the arrogant when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. For they have no pangs until death. Their bodies are fat and sleek. They are not in trouble as others are. They are not stricken like the rest of mankind. Therefore pride is their necklace. Violence covers them as a garment. Their eyes swell out through fatness. Their hearts overflow with follies. They scoff and speak with malice. Loftily they threaten oppression. They set their mouths against the heavens, and their tongue struts through the earth. Therefore his people turn back to them and find no fault in them. And they say, how can God know? Is there knowledge in the Most High? Behold, these are the wicked. Always at ease, they increase in riches. All in vain have I kept my heart clean and washed my hands in innocence. For all the day long I have been stricken and rebuked every morning. If I had said, I will speak thus, I would have betrayed the generation of your children. But when I thought how to understand this, it seemed to me a wearisome task until I went into the sanctuary of God. Then I discerned their end. Truly, you set them in slippery places. You make them fall to ruin. How they are destroyed in a moment, swept away utterly by terrors. Like a dream when one awakes. O Lord, when you rouse yourself, you despise them as phantoms. When my soul was embittered, when I was pricked in heart, I was brutish and ignorant. I was like a beast towards you. Nevertheless, I am continually with you. You hold my right hand. You guide me with your counsel, and afterward you will receive me to glory. Whom have I in heaven but you? And there is nothing on earth that I desire besides you. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. For behold, those who are far from you shall perish. You put an end to everyone who is unfaithful to you. But for me, it is good to be near God. I have made the Lord God my refuge, that I may tell of all your works. So good. Last night I was at Bible study and we were talking about Proverbs. Where are we? Proverbs 3, and how it connects to that psalm. And we're talking about people who have shackled themselves to the material world. And just got me thinking a lot about a lot of the things we've been discussing the past few weeks. These transhumanists, these people who think they can be God, defeat God, they are shackled to the material world, obviously. They're transhumanists because they want to live forever on this world, in this realm. That's what they are obsessed with. And they want us to buy into that narrative. So they see the riches of this world as the most important, right? So I'm just going to read a little bit from Proverbs because this is good stuff. And I think it has a deep connection to how many things. We're all suffering. It's all relative, obviously. We all have different reasons for suffering, different things we're going through. And we're all watching wickedness prosper. Right now, they're being exposed, but are they going to be held accountable? I don't know. I mean, Pam Bondi is a witch and Howard Lutnick is a cannibal. That's just my opinion, but I'm pretty confident in it. I mean, she's like 80 years old and she looks like she's 25. And Howard Lutnick has been caught in so many lies about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. It's just downright despicable. So let's hear from this. Thinking of wisdom, what does that mean? This is what we were talking about last night. Wisdom being the true like treasure that can get us into eternity. And the things of the material world, like wealth, however you might define that, in Proverbs is going to mention gold and silver. Those things, while if you are a godly person, you can use to glorify God. But many people, like the people I've just been discussing, these transhumanists who have this crazy power over world economies, that's what they worship, other than Baal. But get a load of this. Proverbs 3, we're going to go down to 13. Blessed is the one who finds wisdom and the one who gets understanding, for the gain from her is better than gain from silver, and her profit better than gold. She is more precious than jewels, and nothing you can desire compare with her. Long life is in her right hand. In her left hand are riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to those who lay hold of her. Those who hold her fast are called blessed. The Lord, by wisdom, founded the earth. By understanding, he established the heavens. By his knowledge, the deeps broke open, and the clouds dropped down the dew. My son, do not lose sight of these. Keep sound wisdom and discretion, and they will be life for your soul and adornment for your neck. Then you will walk on your way securely, and your foot will not stumble. If you lie down, you will not be afraid. When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. Do not be afraid of sudden terror or the ruin of the wicked when it comes. For the Lord will be your confidence and will keep your foot from being caught. Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due, when it is in your power to do it. Do not say to your neighbor, go and come again. Tomorrow I will give it when you have it with you. Do not plan evil against your neighbor who dwells trustingly beside you. Do not contend with a man for no reason when he has done you no harm. Do not envy a man of violence, and do not choose any of his ways, for the devious person is an abomination to the Lord, but the upright are in his confidence. The Lord's curse is on the house of the wicked, but he blesses the dwelling of the righteous. Toward the scorners he is scornful, but to the humble he gives favor. The wise will inherit honor, but fools get disgrace. Incredible. Before we get into some Epstein works, what did I have? What I have here. First of all, thank you guys for tuning in yesterday. I was thinking about, there's a part we were discussing last night, Bible study 2, about how it's a blessing to be reviled. And I felt that on a very deep level. I'm sure some of you have been reviled in the past 5 years, perhaps, because you might have said something that rejected the dominant narrative that the media industrial complex wanted you to believe in. And I think it's a blessing to be reviled. It means that you have chosen the path of righteousness. And in an evil, fallen world, you become the bad guy. Because the people in control, 99% of them, maybe 100%, no, I'll say 99%, are bad. And they're wicked. Look what we've been going over these past few weeks. We can't say that everyone in the files is guilty of the same kind of crimes as Epstein, but they are, I think, guilty of associating with wicked people for gain in the material world and for conducting these secret operations from whether it be child trafficking, human trafficking, the proliferation of war, starting AI, there's mind control we're seeing now, cloning experiments, blood experiments, hacking genomes, cannibalism perhaps. It's pretty wild. But I think it's good to, like it says, I think it was in Proverbs. I'm forgetting where it was now. It was a blessing to be reviled. But it made me think about, I once started getting these really crazy comments on Instagram. And they were just like hitting me in like very malicious, but it was like a brand new account, no followers. It was obviously just created to be a troll. And after going on I don't block anybody. Unless you threaten my kids, it's happened. I don't block people. I like seeing all the stuff. So this person kept going on and on. I don't really interact. I don't interact. But at one point, this person accidentally used their normal account in this little thread they had going on the hate while using the same language. And it turned out to be a friend of mine, a so-called friend. So I think about that a lot. I mean, the internet is so crazy. There's trolls, there's bots, and there's anonymous people, which I support being anonymous. But I quite often think about how many people who are trying to get under your skin online are actually people you know. And it's wild. The person never apologized. They realized they were caught. But in retrospect, I'm like, hey, it's a blessing. Not just to be reviled, but to see the true nature of someone. You know, if someone has an issue, just take it to them personally. You could do it with a phone call. You could meet up. You can leave a comment if that's your preferred way. Man, hilarious. It was very funny to me. They were just leaving wicked. It was like they were a different person in the other comments. But I love that they just made that accident. Let's see here. So, okay, before this, I did have a prediction. I'm going to make a prediction. It's related to yesterday's episode and talking about where this UFO narrative is going. I am going to I'm going to predict that a lot of the independent people, news people, who have really been embraced by this administration will become a propaganda machine for extraterrestrial life. And it will happen soon. I think that is the next narrative that this administration is going to want to sell to the public. And they're going to want to sell it in a very specific way. I don't know if it'll be in a spiritual context. I highly doubt it. You know, Trump's not very religious. He says he is. I don't believe it. I pray for him. He doesn't think he's getting into heaven. That's always a very weird question if he's ever asked about it. But, you know, only God knows that. But I think we're going to start seeing a shift in narrative for people really trying to sell us on. Maybe they'll even themselves become the predictive programming for the extraterrestrial UFO disclosure speech that Trump is allegedly going to give when the time is right, when it lines up with like a Roswell anniversary, you know, because it's that important. We're not going to do it now. It's so weird to me, but no, something to look forward to, something to look and just keep tabs on. All right, a few other things I want to give updates on that I think are crazy and are getting completely underreported. In the time of Maha, do you guys have I mentioned it on the show before? I know I've made some jokes about it on Twitter, but it is actually very serious issue. I don't know if I've mentioned it on the show before, but are you guys aware that there is like, I think as of now, 500 million gallons of raw sewage leaking into the Potomac at DC from the Maryland-DC border that's been going on since the end of January. It is a huge issue, and it is disgusting. And you can go look at the videos online. It is just gushing up. It looks really, really bad. It reminds me of the oil spill that was happening beneath the Gulf of America, as we call it now, just rushing up out of the ground. But this is crap. This is human waste, raw sewage. So there's been updates. First, I have this one from the Washington Examiner. TC says E. coli rate from Potomac sewage spill 100 times higher than reported. Maha's got to get on top of this. It's insane. Washington, D.C.'s Water and Sewer Authority significantly miscalculated the level of E. coli coming from a sewer line channel on Friday after a late January pipe collapse caused increased levels of bacteria in the Potomac River. Man, oh man. On Friday, February 6th, D.C. Water initially reported levels of E. coli at 2,420 mpn at 100 milliliters, then changed it to actual level of E. coli to 242,000 mpn, which is 9,900% 50% higher than the initial report. The numbers come from a drainage channel at Swainson Island, adjacent to Cabin John, Maryland, in the Potomac River. We identified a human error through internal review, corrected it immediately, and updated the information as soon as it was confirmed. Sampling and monitoring have continued, DC Water wrote on X in response to the discrepancy. That's a pretty big discrepancy. The numbers are related to a January 19th collapse of a section of the Potomac Interceptor sewer line at a septic overflow point by Swainson Island. The collapse of part of the 54-mile sewer line led to a spike in E. coli in the surrounding areas. DC Water said its crews and contractors began work immediately to construct a bypass to contain the overflow, which was completed on January 24th. So there was that. Now, this was written yesterday from NBC News Washington. Non-disposable wipes cause another sewage spill into the Potomac. Dude, bad time to be the Potomac. I love the Potomac. I love the Shenandoah. Great rivers. And at Harper's Ferry, they converge. Shout out to Converge, the band. This is my ADHD. I think their album's coming out tomorrow, so that's cool. But I love these rivers. And this is a huge problem. And I think it's massively underreported. After the sewage spill in the Potomac River a few weeks ago, DC Water began pumping the contaminated water and diverting it into the C&O Canal. But on Sunday, another spill released 600,000 more gallons of sewage into the river. Sunday's spill was caused by a massive clog of non-disposable wipes flushed down the toilet, putting two of the pumps used to divert sewage out of commission. At the same time, right about the time of the Super Bowl, they experienced a heavy flow of sewage coming through the interceptor that they could not keep up with, and there was an overflow, DC Water said. That's really bad news for the environment and the Potomac River. That is a very subjective but very true, objectively true sentence in this rather objective article. That is really bad. It's just really bad. This should be crazy news, I think. But this happens all the time, so it's really bad, but we shall be talking about all of them all the time. Legitimate disasters to our environment. That's the problem. It's like environmental alarmism became a cult, and like the climate change people and like the Sunrise Movement, you might have seen them. They would have like their little kids out holding signs that said they had 12 years to live. That's a death cult. That is ridiculous. However, we have been destroying the planet. We talked about DuPont, what they've done. That's just one of many. And this kind of stuff, I hate it. I think it's terrible. And man, I don't know what they're going to do to fix this. Because now it's like how they clean it up. You know, growing up on the Hudson River in New York, I mentioned to you all when I gave the history of Henry Hudson, finding the Hudson River, then the mutiny that happened on the Henry Hudson ship, and how he disappeared. The reports of the Hudson River hundreds of years ago was that it was clear. I didn't know. I never saw a clear Hudson River. To me, the Hudson River was always like greenish, brownish goo that you couldn't see through. And we were always told don't swim in it. Some of our friends did get drunk and go swimming in it. Some of them disappeared forever after that. Some of them might have 3 eyes by now. We were told not to fish and all that stuff. But they did, and like I've said before, on the opposite side of the river to me, just north by Poughkeepsie, was an IBM factory that was allowed to drain their own chemical waste into the river by law. It was okay. And there was a big sign there that said it. Very weird to me. And at some point in the early 2000s, early 2000s, I think, they decided to like drag the river, and they thought they could just bring up all the waste. And it didn't really work out too well, as far as as I can remember. But so that's happening. The Potomac is filled with human waste in the era of Maha. And I also wanted to mention this quickly. Let me bring this up. This is from Racket News. Exclusive. This is from today. Exclusive. FBI, this might not surprise anybody. FBI gathered intel on 1,000 journalists, politicians, religious organizations on flimsy grounds. The The FBI examined more than 1,000 religious organizations, members of the press, public officials, and political candidates in so-called assessments that require no evidence of a crime, according to a confidential and closely guarded report exclusively obtained by Racket News. The January 2026 government report, which directs recipients to destroy its contents when no longer needed, spells out new details of the FBI's private digging into the personal lives of Americans not accused of any crime or wrongdoing. Now I'm going to break this down just a little bit more here from Emily Kopp, which she's giving credit to Lovelace Ryan D. from Racket News. Let me pull up this thing. It talks about showing different figures here. Number of and type of assessments opened and subsequently closed is designated as a sensitive investigative matter by type, and it shows you that like there's in the news media there's about 100 people who were spied on by the FBI. Public officials, we got up to 600 people. Religious organizations, 200. So this should remind everybody of Operation Arctic Frost, I think it was called, when we found out late last year that they were spying on like TPUSA and different politicians, and that then reminded me of such things as the signature reduction army that the Pentagon has deployed with over 60,000 spies working undercover in various sectors of American life, whether it's media, whether it's Home Depot. You don't know where they are, but that's a lot of people. And there's probably more that we don't know about. But I just want to bring that to your attention. Go to Racket News if you want to read more about that. Also, I have this update from yesterday's story about El Paso. The unexpected airspace closure in El Paso stemmed from disagreements over drone-related tests, sources told CBS News. Now, CBS News, take it or leave it. Pentagon had undertaken extensive planning on use of military tech near Fort Bliss. Two sources identified the technology as a high-energy laser. Earlier this week, tech was used to shoot down what appeared to be foreign drones. The flying material turned out to be a party balloon. Sources said one balloon was shot down. FAA Administrator Brian Bedford last night decided to close the airspace without alerting White House, Pentagon, or Homeland Security officials. Which is a pretty wild move. Bedford told officials that the airspace restrictions would be in place to ensure safety until issues with the War Department could be resolved. So things we mostly knew, but I want to pull up just a few more names in there. This was also weird to me and concerning. Nancy Guthrie's Google Nest doorbell was offline. FBI still got the video. This is from Hustle BITCH _ on Twitter. But it's a really interesting thing to consider. I consider this a lot. I don't have, I don't even know what you call her. That thing that people have in their house that you, maybe it's a Google thing. I don't even know. You ask it to do stuff for you. It's like a speaker you talk to. It's a little robot. A lot of people have it. I forget what it's called. You guys will probably say it in the chat. I don't have those things, but I do have some technology. But these things are always spying on you, is my point. And so here's another example of this. Nancy Guthrie's Google Nest doorbell had been taken, disconnected, and off the home's Wi-Fi. There was no active cloud connection, no live feed, no upload in progress. Yet, investigators still recovered the video. According to the Federal Bureau of Investigation Director Kash Patel, the FBI worked with private companies and pulled footage from residual data stored in back-end systems, even though the device wasn't connected to the cloud. This writer says, let that sink in. Let it. If the doorbell was offline and the cloud wasn't being used, where was the video actually being stored? How many invisible handoff points exist between your camera and the server? How much data is cached, mirrored, or retained before you're ever told it's uploaded? If investigators can recover footage after the device is removed, was it ever really offline at all? That's a great question. That's a great question. They are doing that with everything. Our phones, our computers. It is like we are in the surveillance state. They've effectively built it around us so that we have become addicted to it. And they've made us feel like it keeps us safe. But safe from what? safe from maybe, I mean, it's really, I don't think it's safe from anything. All it does is allows you the chance to maybe capture a video of someone who broke into your house or tried to. But a lot of this higher level crime stuff, I mean, that's what I think this is. I think this is a very strange story overall, the Nancy Guthrie thing. But this is very bizarre. And they are able to tap into anything, whether you think it's off or not. Like the way your apps are tracking you in your sleep, your apps are communicating. This is an issue. I think there's going to be a renaissance of like neo-Luddites, which I think will be cool. Like we can love technology, but we're going to have to find a way to circumnavigate this because they want to devour you, your mind, your soul. They want to shackle you to reality and turn you into the fool who will not inherit eternity, because to them, this material world is the only place that matters. Okay, another thing here is the Russian doomsday radio station shows anomalous activity. 23 coded messages in a single day, an absolute record according to internet users tracking the station. This is according to RT.com. The latest transmission included the words Caucasus and pimply. Should we expect something big? Let me see what I have here. There is some audio. I'll try to play it. Oh, you play. This could be how they MK Ultra us, so listen at your discretion. We'll stop it there. If you are unaware of the Doomsday Radio, also known as UVB76, or the Buzzer, is a shortwave radio station that broadcasts in upper sideband mode on the frequency 4625 kilohertz wavelength of 64.8. It broadcasts a short, monotonous buzz tone, repeating at a rate of approximately 25 tones per minute, 24 hours per day. Sometimes the buzzer signal is interrupted and a voice transmission in Russian takes place. Although the true nature of the transmission has never been revealed, it is speculated to be related to the dead hand system, thus the transmission being sometimes referred to as the Doomsday Radio. The dead hand, also known as perimeter, is a Cold War-era automatic or semi-automatic nuclear weapons control system similar in concept to the American ANDRC-8 emergency rocket communication system that was constructed by the Soviet Union. The system remains in use in the post-Soviet Russian Federation, an example of fail, deadly, and mutual assured destruction deterrence. It can initiate the launch of the Russian intercontinental ballistic missiles by sending a pre-entered high-authority order from the General Staff of the Armed Forces Strategic Missile Force Management to command posts and individual silos if a nuclear strike is detected by seismic, light, radioactivity, and pressure sensors, even with the commanding elements fully destroyed. By most accounts, it is normally switched off and is supposed to be activated during times of crisis. However, as of 2009, it was said to remain fully functional and able to serve its purpose when needed. Accounts differ on whether the system, once activated by the country's leadership, will launch missiles fully automatically or if there is still a human approval process involved, with newer sources suggesting the latter. So, there you have it. Wild stuff from the Doomsday Radio. I don't know if you saw this, back to the Epstein files, but I saw it from Ahmad Masad at AMASAD on Twitter. Replit user vibe-coded an Epstein file data viz app complete with Network Explorer, Timeline, and many other Nest data features. It's awesome. For those of you who are interested in exploring these files, I highly recommend it. It's just a really awesome way to search the files. It's kind of like, I really enjoyed the Gmail thing, which was down last I checked. It might be back now. But I just want to put that out there for those of you who are going through this stuff. It's Epstein-file-explorer.replit.app. Replit is REPLIT. And you can find a link to it where I found it at AMASAD. So very cool. It's one of those examples of technology that I do like. When people can use things and create things that are actually very helpful to research and, makes things quicker, more efficient. I dig that. See, there are things I think that are positive about technology. I'm not fully Luddite, maybe neo-Luddite, but there are benefits to how we can do this, and it helps us try to understand this evil and expose it more. Now we have this, another one from Mario Nawfal. Probably not too surprising, but let's go over it. Epstein jail video, missing minute, explained now through the files. Newly released documents show the FBI destroyed the master copy of Jeffrey Epstein's jail footage in 2024. We talked about it yesterday. Then later reconstructed it from a separate recording, leading to the infamous 62-second gap. Oh, we have the whole video. Oh, actually, first, before that, there was no video, nothing, none of the cameras worked. And then, no, all the cameras were working except for the one. Then we're going to give you everything, the raw footage. Oh, yeah, I guess there is a minute missing. Sorry about that. Lying constantly. Mario said, seems AG Bondi has a lot more to explain, though. Man, did you watch her hearing yesterday or see any clips? Crazy. I don't know if I have it pulled up, but I saw that Massey said that, most of her responses were like kind of like digs at all these other politicians. And a lot of them I don't like, right? But I can appreciate them calling her out because I don't think she's very good at her job. And I think we all knew that since Bindergate. But she had all these like cards for like these attack lines to the people who would be questioning her. And Massey says if you go back and watch, you can see her fumbling around trying to find the one she needed for each one because her staff wrote them down for her. But here we have this file from June 25th, 2024. Electronic communication title, Jeffrey Epstein victim death investigation. Authorization to destroy evidence is a synopsis. Details. Authorization granted to destroy item 1B60, I think is what it says, as this exhibit is no longer pertinent to the above captioned case. What are they thinking? Let's see, I have another one here from February 28th, 2025. And this one, synopsis is to document justification for destruction of item 1B60. On May 31st, 2024, charged in cart derivative evidence, NYC 0337972. The copy I'm reading here looks like it was photocopied, and it is very, the ink is like almost see-through here, so it's kind of hard to read. Ultrium LTO6 tapes containing the archives of MCC video, images and work product under cart submission. Master copy of this case was already closed and redacted. Concurred on 8/26/24 with agency evidence handling procedures. Authorization was granted to destroy this item per FBI policy. If an evidence item remains undisposed, the investigative case file must remain open. Okay, they'll keep everything for other stuff, but when it comes to stuff they need to sweep under the rug quickly, delete, redact. It's a circus. It's a total circus. They don't care. We could tell these guys were lying. You remember Kash Patel's Joe Rogan interview was a total joke. You could see on Rogan's face, like, he was not buying what Patel was trying to sell. And there was things that he didn't even know about the Epstein case that Joe was asking him about. It was shocking to hear Patel stumble through all that. But in retrospect, these guys look like they've been captured since day one, and maybe even beforehand. Another thing we have here from Mario is Epstein's spy cam footage has leaked. Channel 4 News obtained hidden camera footage from inside Epstein's Palm Beach office. This is the first time the public is seeing it. It shows a man, which is likely Epstein, and what appears to be Ghislaine Maxwell, with multiple women or girls. The footage captures intimate contact at Epstein's desk with an unidentified woman or girl. The camera was hidden inside a clock. Police detective Joseph Ricari, we talked about him yesterday, confirmed in a 2006 affidavit there were 2 covert cameras and clocks, one in the garage, one in the library. So funny. I did a show, I forget who it was, but like I was getting laughed at for saying, I remember when the original story of this breaking was that he had cameras everywhere. And they're like, where'd you hear that? I never heard that part of the story. I'm like, well, you didn't do enough reading, I guess. Because I remember, and then like somehow the narrative engineers convinced a lot of people that that wasn't the case. I think they were trying to attack the blackmail narrative, maybe because the blackmail narrative was so deeply entwined with Mossad and Israel. I think that's just one facet of the blackmail, but obviously it was with Mossad and Israel. We look how deeply entwined he was with Ehud Barak. And there's pictures of him with Netanyahu, which were redacted. I don't know if Bondi was questioned about that yesterday. If you happen to see clips of that, let us know in the comments. But I brought it up the other day, that they were talking about behind the scenes, under Patel, Bongino, and with Bondi, who to redact: presidents, former presidents, heads of state. Seems like Netanyahu, because there was an image redacted of Netanyahu in one of the emails of Netanyahu with Epstein. But here's the twist. Mario says police may have actually helped Epstein install it after a 2003 burglary at his home. This is from one camera in the 2000s. Epstein had surveillance across all his properties. The computer equipment linked to cameras in Palm Beach was removed before police searched. His New York townhouse had a room labeled 24-hour video surveillance. And what I was reading back like 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago, was that the New York City townhouse was also covered in cameras through peepholes and stuff like that, which is what this appears to be like. So I'm looking at video now. You can see it. Mario Nawfal has posted, and it's showing you different angles from inside, different rooms, a sign that says 24-hour video surveillance. I'm looking now at the desk, and seems to be, it looks like Epstein, but it's like really grainy, early like security footage. Wild. This was also interesting. I saw this yesterday. Excuse me. I first saw this tweeted from Rep. Anna Polina Luna. Jeffrey Epstein was also Marius Robert Fortelny. This is an official passport with a different name that was released in the files that, yes, she says, that is Epstein. And here, I'm looking at a passport. It is a passport, and the inside picture is for sure Epstein, a younger Epstein from the 70s. Pretty crazy. It's a different birth date. Something weird there. Luna wrote this as well. Before people try to say this is fake, the FBI was extensively running this. The correspondence of that are also in the files. Communication from FBI showed he had traveled back and forth to France quite a few times with this passport. Diligent Denizen below that said, look how young he was. The passport issued in the 70s or 80s by his appearance and the style of the page. What intelligence agency was he working for? I didn't pull it up, but it also appears that France had many Epstein emails for years. It looks like, I forget. I didn't pull it up. I want to say at least a decade, but I might have read 3 decades. And look, France is up to no good. They've had a lot of strange. Actually, I don't think they had any laws about sexual relations with kids up until maybe recently, which is a huge issue. And then obviously there's the whole Brigitte Macron thing. And if you have not watched the Candace thing about Brigitte, and if you don't care about Brigitte's being a man, which I believe, that series is also about how many pedophiles are close to that administration and how the Macrons are very open about liking them. And it's scary. So I'm not so surprised that there might be a deep relationship between France and Epstein, like there is with us, with the CIA perhaps, and the Mossad. This dude is alive, for sure. He is watching and listening to everything. He's reading everything and probably enjoying it. I really don't doubt it. But it also seemed, I saw someone else say that it looked like he had a headquarters in Paris, Epstein. So the passport's wild. And, remember a week ago, I was talking about how Epstein's history, where he was born, Coney Island, if that's even his real name, like, here's another name he was going by. I don't really believe his origin story. I think it's created. I think he was made in the lab. Doesn't mean he was made in a petri dish like J.D. Vance was by Peter Thiel, but certainly I think he was created. Pre-birth, a hijacked destiny by the ancient evil to be this character, to fill the shoes of a Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine's father, who did very similar things. But they're not alone. There's lots of them. Yesterday we talked about co-conspirators with Epstein that are just living life still. No problem. Moving on. From Dr. Dawn Michael, this is shocking, she says. All the horrors in the Epstein files, the FBI knew for at least 30 years. They were probing at least 36 young girls he allegedly raped and trafficked, while Epstein agreed to snitch on Wall Street hedge fund execs for money laundering. They are, by they I mean the government, is willing to let anyone be harmed if it allows them access to control the powerful and wealthy. That's it. The other thing I've been thinking about through a lot of this is, Michael Aquino. We've talked about him before. The guy with the eyebrows who was an open Satanist, the founder of the Temple of Set. He was part of Anton LaVey's Church of Satan. He left that to start the Temple of Set. Openly satanic, in the military, investigated for crimes of possible molestation of children at a U.S. military daycare, was found to be innocent somehow. I think that story is bogus in terms of, I think the investigation, how it turned out, is bogus. I think he's guilty. There's a lot of evidence out there that suggests he is guilty. Who knows? He definitely doesn't help his case by looking that way and worshiping Satan. But you think about how many people high up in the military and the government are Satan worshipers, are truly evil. And then we have this where we see this document here. They've known for years what he was up to, but they let these things go. It also makes you think of certain situations like we were just talking about, Operation Northwoods and different false flags, COINTELPRO, mass surveillance of American citizens, assassination plots, attempts, actual assassinations, character assassinations. They don't care about you. They'll do whatever it takes to destroy you and to help bring control into their hands over the powerful and the innocent. They will stand on your corpse to climb that ladder of control. But there's this document here from 9/11/2008, case against advised writer that Epstein is currently being prosecuted by the state of Florida and is complying with all conditions of his plea with the state of Florida. Epstein was also provided information to the FBI as agreed upon. Case agent advised that no federal prosecution will occur in this matter as long as Epstein continues to uphold his agreement with the state of Florida. Case agent also advised that no further forfeiture or assistance will be required for this case. Case agent is requested to contact writer in the event this matter moves forward on a federal level, in that no further forfeiture related action is deemed necessary. They have known for so long. Oh, man. Let's see. What else can I get through here? You've probably heard a lot of news about the jerky in the emails. Lots of references to jerky. It does seem like it might be about eating humans. We don't know for sure. But who is obsessed with jerky like this? I do believe pizza is a code word for children. I really do believe that. And I believe that also Because when I did my story with Alex Rosen while we were catching pedophiles, they use pizza as a code word. Now, if you want to argue that maybe they only adopted that language post Pizzagate, okay, but that's insane. That's insane. I think this is a long-term code word used amongst these evil people in all levels of society, down low, up high, to talk about things that are truly despicable, really evil, and get around it. I don't think anyone's obsessed with jerky that much, really. So I have this from Jay Anderson. He is at Project Unity on Twitter. Epstein had teams of people working around the clock to make sure he had jerky whenever he needed it. Like, there is a sense of genuine concern over the potential lack of jerky Epstein might experience if communication isn't tight. He says, because that's so normal. Let's see here. I have this here from August 2012. Jerky will be with me when I get to Little St. James. That is to Jeffrey Epstein. Everything else is redacted here, but they are saying Jeffrey Epstein is on the island and has the tuna with him. If you can let redacted or redacted know what to do with the tuna, that would be great. Redacted is still on the ranch. On the ranch, I guess that means Zorro Ranch. Got it. The next reply is sent redacted an email. I think they are going to attempt to make jerky as well. I haven't gotten any emails till today about any of this, and now it seems to be too late. I need to know if he's out of jerky and things like this before it happens. I would rather come in and make more on a day off than be so far away that it's not possible to fix things that are wrong. It's actually easier that way. To which this person replied, it's all redacted. I understand he left on Wednesday last week and had quite a bit of jerky that we sent with him. He must be going through it like crazy. Oh man, I had something pulled up. And it seems to have disappeared. Oh, crud. Well, that's too bad. Sorry to Jay Dyer. I had something pulled up from him, a tweet he had the other day. Let me see if I can just find his tweet really quick from Jay Dyer. Let's see here. No, it's not coming up, and I'm not going to waste your time. But follow Jay Dyer. He's been on the show. He's awesome. But he was going through a history of elites eating people, and it's well documented. The other thing I was going to show you was a movie I quite like, but it very much fits in with this theme of cannibalism. Have you seen the movie Ravenous? It's a 99 horror western film directed by Antonia Bird and starring Guy Pearce, Robert Carlyle, Jeffrey Jones, and David Arquette. It's set in the 1840s in California's Sierra Nevada. The film follows a group of soldiers at a military outpost who encounter a sadistic cannibal. It's a crazy movie. And it has an amazing score. It's one of my favorites. And I'm surprised no hip-hop artist has ever sampled it. Like even one of the horror rappers out there, like a Necro or Ill Bill, if anyone remembers those guys. Screenwriter Ted Griffin's screenplay combines elements from The Donner Party and that of Alfred Packer, the real-life Colorado cannibal who survived by eating 5 companions after becoming snowbound in the San Juan Mountains in the 1870s. However, the film's plot also serves as an overt criticism of manifest destiny through its use of cannibalism. Yes, there is that. I decide to ignore that part because it's just baked in silliness. But I actually think there's reality and truth in this cannibalism stuff. Because if you watch this, it's good to watch in the winter, I might add. You will then think of what we're talking about here in terms of powerful people in the military eating people. And the poster here says, "You are what you eat." It's crazy. I won't spoil it, but I do like it. It's disturbing though, so watcher beware. We had this other connection. Speaking of movies and directors, to David Rossi from Jeffrey Epstein. And David Rossi is Roman Polanski's lawyer, or was at least in 2009, a year after the conviction. Maybe he was actually just getting out. Roman Polanski, this is from David Rossi, again, to Jeffrey Epstein. I'm sorry, from Jeffrey Epstein to David Rossi. October 1st, 2009. Roman Polanski's attorney are coming to see me. I might want to fund an exhibition entitled Statutory. Girls and boys ages 14 and 25 where they look nothing like their true ages. Juvenile mugshots, Photoshop, makeup. Some people go to prison because they can't tell true age. Controversial, fun. Maybe it should be a web page with hits tallied. So maybe David Rossi isn't a lawyer, but it's Epstein saying that Roman Polanski's attorney will be coming to see him. That is disgusting. Just want to put that out there. And, Polanski also has a lot of strange history. We know a lot of it through like the Sharon Tate murders. He was in Europe. We talked about this a long time ago, but he was in Europe when Sharon Tate was murdered by the Manson family. And he was I forget if he was in France or England, but he was there discussing a film he was going to make but never made, which was about basically an MK Ultra dolphin who had been turned into a Manchurian candidate to become an assassin, which is bizarre when you think about the broader picture here, and you've read books like Chaos, and Charles Manson was surely a MK Ultra victim, if you want to call him a victim. So that's bizarre. And then we also have the Roman Polanski sexual abuse case from 1977. 43-year-old film director Roman Polanski was arrested and charged in Los Angeles with 6 offenses against Samantha Gailey, a 13-year-old girl. Unlawful sexual intercourse with a minor, rape by use of drugs, perversion, sodomy, lewd and lascivious act, I can't even speak today, upon a child under the age of 14. That is disgusting, and furnishing a controlled substance to a minor. At his arraignment, Polanski pleaded not guilty to all charges, but later accepted a plea bargain whose terms included dismissal of the 5 more serious charges in exchange for a guilty plea to the lesser charge of engaging in lawful sexual intercourse with a minor. Polanski underwent a court-ordered psychiatric evaluation and he was placed on probation. However, upon learning that he was likely to face imprisonment and subsequent deportation, Polanski became a fugitive from justice, fleeing to England and then France in February 1978, hours before he was due to be formally sentenced. Since then, Polanski has mostly lived in France and has avoided visiting any countries likely to extradite him to the United States. Crazy. And a lot of people still look up to him. Just want to go through one other thing with him. Where is it? Yeah. Like the Rosemary's Baby thing. I think I've mentioned this before. It's a great book. It's a horrific book. And I think there's truth in it. So he did the movie. But it's wild. The life that he went on to have after doing that movie. He did Chinatown, which is a great movie. Great movie. But he seems to be a despicable human being. Very upsetting. What else do I have here for you? Okay. I'm vindicated once again. I don't know if you guys follow me on Twitter, but for years I have been telling everyone that they have been creating little mosquito robots that go and covertly steal your blood or deliver personalized bioweapons. And what do we have here? Out of the Epstein files. Mosquito spy tech. Oh, man. They laugh at you. They laugh at you. They laugh at you. They laugh at you. You get mocked. You get blacklisted. You get disinvited from all the cool parties. Well, I don't care. I have known in my soul the truth. And I'd rather be on the side of truth. A mosquito-sized drone designed for surveillance, allegedly able to carry a camera and mic, collect DNA, and plant RFID trackers, reportedly funded by the U.S. government as an Epstein request. At this point, who is this from? Mario Novel again. If a mosquito lands on you, you might want to check if it's buzzing or recording. And there's an image here. This is not a mosquito. Note the size. It is on the man's finger, and there's a little image of a little mosquito drone that shows you its power source, its processor, a camera, microphone. I am telling you, this has been going on for some time. This image says, "Is this a mosquito?" No, it's an insect spy drone for urban areas already in production, funded by the U.S. government. Of course, it can be remotely controlled and is equipped with a camera and a microphone. It can land on you. It may have the potential to take a DNA sample or leave RFID tracking nanotechnology on your skin. It can fly through an open window, or it can attach to your clothing until you take it in your home. Given their propensity to request macro-sized drones for surveillance, one is left with little doubt that police and military may look into these gadgets next. Guys, I'm telling you, that has been a reality. We know how much Epstein wanted your blood. He was up to no good. He wanted to seed, these are his words, the world with his seed. He wanted to live on forever as a transhumanist himself in his disgusting little demon body, but also his offspring to live everywhere. See what I got next here. There are people, I'm just going to go through this quickly. I don't really want to have to talk about this stuff, but there are people pulling up files now that allegedly have CSAM, child sexual abuse material from Jeffrey Epstein, and allegedly Bill Clinton, Kevin Spacey, and Casey Wasserman's world tour on the Lolita Express. And that perhaps this happened during their infamous Africa trip, which Kevin Spacey and Clinton all went on. I'm trying. They shared a link here. It does appear to be in there, but like heavily redacted images. But there are strange images. I will also say though, like there was a tweet going around yesterday or 2 days ago. It was very heavily redacted, but you could see like what appeared to be a very young girl's arm and maybe her feet, and it looked like she was taking her underwear off. People would later find out that that was actually an adult porn star who looks very young, who's some part of some like porn site that, it's so disturbing, but like caters to men who like people who look like little girls, which is a problem all in itself. But so people are pulling up that. Also, quickly, the website The Ditch gained access to Jeffrey Epstein's FedEx account with records showing it was used for shipments long after his death, and an address book including a senior Israeli military officer now considered a strategic consultant for diplomatic matters. There's a whole story about it. Look, it doesn't mean he's alive. If he was alive, I think he wouldn't be using this stuff. I think he's probably got a whole team of people who have access to everything. But it could also be him, because these people are so blatant, they don't care. But it says here, one of the shipments sent less than 2 years ago was delivered to a dissolved company that owned and operated Epstein's private jet. The U.S. Department of Justice published millions of files related to Epstein. We know this. Jeffrey Epstein's FedEx account included the addresses and contact details of his high-profile associates like convicted child abuser Ghislaine Maxwell, sex trafficker Jean-Luc Brunel, and disgraced billionaire Les Wexner, who we might know now as his co-conspirator, one of them. We'll see what happens at the end of this month. He's testifying. Among the lesser known, do you think anything's going to happen? Like, do you think they're going to hold any of these people accountable? Or do you think any of these high profile people, do you think something's going to happen to any of them? I've been really thinking about that. Like, we all had this feeling that when Epstein went to jail in New York City that he might die, right? Like, it was like when it was reported that he died, he's not dead, but when it was reported that he died, we were all like, yeah, we know. We've been saying that was going to happen. He's either going to fake his death or they're going to take him out, or whatever. I wonder if anything's going to happen to any of those other people. Taken out, or they take their life, or someone stages a suicide. Among the lesser known of the almost 100 names in the ex-Israeli Air Force Lieutenant Colonel turned strategic consultant Danny Grossman, who lists Alan Dershowitz as one of his clients. Remember, Dershowitz has allegedly Mossad ties now and Kushner ties to both Kushner brothers. Grossman served in the U.S. Air Force before moving to Israel in 1979 and joining the state's equivalent. He claims to have had reports placed on the front page of the New York Times and has been a director of the American Jewish Congress. And you also will remember we've gone over that Epstein puppeteered the New York Times by taking down very important key players in the newspaper of record. Now this is from the Diligent Denizen. According to him, AG Pam Bondi had binder, getting triggered hearing the word binder next to Pam Bondi's name, full of search histories of U.S. representative unredacted Epstein files viewing at hearings. Pam Bondi had a detailed browsing history worksheet on what a U.S. rep had looked at during their viewing of the unredacted Epstein files, including the torture video, which we've discussed. The DOJ has put way more effort into covering up these crimes against children than they have investigating them for some reason. And you can see here Bondi testifying, opening up her page, and you can see there the search history. And I think I have this now from Nancy Mace. She said yesterday, yes, I will confirm, DOJ is tracking the Epstein document members of Congress search for, open, and review. She says, I was able to navigate the system today, and I won't disclose how or the nature of how, but confirmed that the DOJ is tagging all documents members of Congress search, open, and review. Based on how I confirm this, there are timestamps associated with this tracking. Unbelievable. I do have the thing here from Massey. Massey said about Bondi. A funny thing about Bondi's insults to members of Congress who had serious questions. Staff literally gave her flashcards with individualized insults, but she couldn't memorize them, so you can see her shuffle through them to find the flashcards insult that matches the member. And how about this? Hundreds of pages in the Epstein files describe government mind control experiments. Buried in the Epstein document dump is a massive file detailing directed energy and mind control technology used on people without consent. Government human experimentation causing permanent psychological damage. It lists symptoms such as anxiety, insomnia from graphic imagery of rape and abduction, fear of relationships, constant stress, isolation from family. And here you go. In the files, EMF and RF government and military technology, sophisticated radio frequency technology, designers for government and military sources, government and police targeting of an individual from 15 to 50 years of age, unusual disturbances in the home, victim family members, victim's family, pet, dog, refers to a timeline here. This is just how it's written. Suspicious activity of altered states of mind has been recognized and recorded during the act of targeting and presents itself in the form of the use of highly developed classified technology to conduct human experimentation on the human mind in the form of satellite and radio frequencies being used to affect and interfere with the electrical impulses of the human brain and being conducted by the government targeting the victim and her family. And also, this includes military services. The highly sophisticated, developed, and designed technology involved the use of radio frequency and satellite frequency was discovered and revealed during contact with the company Solinov. Representatives name of contact Sanka. during the development of JC innovations involving the development of software, of products, and designs involving GPS tracking systems. It was also revealed through contact of a mentor of the Venture Dorm program with an employee of the Adelaide University Division, Svelte Studios, involved in the development of technology involving NASA and artificial intelligence, the application of recording keystrokes of mobile phones. Joseph Kesar also revealed the intellectual property theft of a current development of innovations in social media security programs currently being developed. So, I mean, there's a list here. The targeted victims within this evidence all suffered from the same symptoms of nightmares, insomnia, extreme anxiety, graphic imagery while suffering from nightmares and in their sleep being attacked, raped, or introduced to individuals they had not witnessed or encountered before during waking hours, everyday life, or television imagery, watching television programs. Crazy that they were discussing this stuff. But it makes sense. It makes sense. They had been working on this for quite some time. And let's finish it up here with some really disturbing material. I think I mentioned the other day that one of the people in Epstein Files is connected to a company that is in charge of doing lots of photo days for children's at public schools. Now I saw this according to 50 Shades of Way. Schools are canceling Picture Day because of a wave of concerned parents who don't trust the school photo company LifeTouch after they've been tied to Epstein via billionaire Leon Black. And there's this post here on Reddit. Picture Day canceled over Epstein rumors. I feel sick. My school just announced that Picture Day is canceled tomorrow. Apparently, there's been a huge wave of concerned parents claiming LifeTouch is mentioned in the Epstein files. The school says they're canceling and having lawyers review the contract. I'm not usually one for conspiracy theories, but the idea that someone like that could have access to school photos nationwide is honestly disturbing. It makes you think about how Epstein identified and targeted vulnerable kids' families, especially in rural or low-income communities. This whole situation feels like something out of a horror movie. It sure does. And then there's these accusations, and they are just accusations, but there's been a lot of them, and people writing about them in the files. The assault, Leon Black, Wall Street billionaire, accusing the Epstein files of raping a 16-year-old girl at Epstein's townhouse. The assault was so brutal that she bled. Did they take her to a hospital? No, they flew her out of the state. This sick man founded one of the world's largest private equity firms, still worth billions, still completely free, and nobody's doing a thing about it. So there's that. And Leon Black is connected to LifeTouch. Very disturbing. It also seems like maybe the Queen of England was connected to Jeffrey Epstein. And clearly he was friends with Prince Andrew. It seems like he was hanging out with Ghislaine at one of their cabins. And it made me think of, what was the quote? What is the quote? There was a weird, mysterious voice that happened while they broadcast the Queen of England's hearse. There it is. There it is. Let me see if I can just play it. There's really, as far as I can tell, never been an answer. There's been articles written that say they've been an answer, that it was a broadcaster's friend's voice that was picked up on the microphone. But let me see. Let me see here. I'll try to play it for you guys. So, there it is. There it is. Let's see if I turn this volume up. So what you are not going to see, what I'm looking at, is footage of it was live broadcast of the Queen's hearse. And you will immediately hear a strange voice over the broadcast that's not the original broadcaster's voice. We can mostly hear the death is irreversible, and then people will debate what she says after that. I hear, what other people hear is the fact that she's trapped, ... Other people hear maybe that she's traveling. I don't know, but check it out.
The death is irreversible, and the fact that she's trapped. As you can see...
Pause. The broadcaster stopped talking after that voice was heard.
But as you can see here in London, it is a lovely day, and as the hearse heads out,
The death is irreversible, and the fact that she's
as you can see,
the death is
Listen to him stop. Like, he heard it and it weirded him out.
irreversible, and the fact that she's
as you can see,
The death is irreversible, and the fact that she's trapped. I don't know. That's the first thing I thought of when I heard that she might have had more of a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein than we've been led to believe. Would not be surprised. Pretty wild stuff. All right, guys. Hope you have a very great weekend. Stay blessed. Have a great one. Shout out to all you guys for showing up, helping with the show, liking the show, sharing it, commenting on it. Does mean a lot. Really does help. By the time you're watching this, I will have also been on Dr. Drew's show, so check out that on Ask Dr. Drew. It's on YouTube and Rumble. That'll be cool. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you all very much. Till then.